Suikoden 4 is beyond the shadow of a doubt the worst mainline game in the Suikoden series. According to most players at least. Though, is it? Let's reconsider its place in the narrative canon of the series. The most hated entry in general may just be the most important of all. For years our eyes were only feasted on the long and dreading sailing mechanics on the world map. Add in more complaints on the random encounters, the 4-person party battle system, and the somewhat confusing storyline branches. A spicy cocktail of things to be considered a bad game. Though let's take a look at how the events of the Island Nations Federation define the entire destiny of its timeline successors. The story has loads of tales to tell. Even if it may not have been complete at all without the addition of Suikoden tactics, there's many things to take away from it. The story behind the Rune of Punishment is way more depressing and dark than the tales of the other true runes. A rune that is displayed with much more despair and hurt than any other, even the Soul Eater. It's also the most philosophically complex, as you have to wonder about the consequences of using the rune every single time. Many choices in the game reflect a life or death situation to choose from for the user themselves. This cycle of life and atonement are recurring themes of sacrifice played out in later chronological entries of the series. Laszlo's personal backstory throughout Suikoden 4 also sets the stakes for every true rune bearer that's him in the timeline. Witnessing your own mother succumb to the Rune of Punishment in a vision is not a pretty view, and being bossed around by your dad, Linu and Kulis, isn't great either. The conflict with the Kuluk Empire establishes the blueprint for the power struggles witnessed in Suikoden 4 and Suikoden 1. You identify the origin of the influence of the Scarlet Moon Empire through the tactical maneuvers taking place inside the Island Nations. That is in Suikoden Tactics, even further highlighted. Kuluk had many issues with the Scarlet Moon Empire and thus looked for sudden expanse into the Island Nations to gain strength against Scarlet Moon. After the war ends, the Island Nations Federation, spearheaded by Lino and Kuldus of Obel, is the first form of true resistance against the empires of the northern continent. Finally, a nation divided by a vast ocean is unified into one, all at the hands of an individual called Laszlo who suffered greatly throughout this war. Who could have thought that the Rune of Punishment would somehow be forgiving? To accommodate the leap in the chronological order of the games, we need to have some legacy characters to bridge the gap. Leknard is a part of the series in this entry again, still in her role as seer. Though her demeanour varies vast from other entries, she seems more mild and soft towards Laszlo, knowing which fate could await him in the end. What happened to her in the 150 years since Suikoden 4 until the event of Suikoden 1? Vicky is back as a teleportation magician. This time she sneezed herself again into another part of time, ending up on the island. No significant news to report here as to why she's in it, apart from fitting the function. Ted is the one character that might seem off. You free him from a fog ship with a host that's trying to hold him captive. The host wants Ted to use his Soul Eater rune to feed the host with all the souls they can collect. After the host is defeated, Leknard banishes it back to its deserved place. Ted was not the first host of the Soul Eater, so you already learn a bit on how this true rune also has a tragic reputation, alike to the Rune of Punishment. It's a bridge to provide more backstory on Ted, who had a very minor role in Suikoden 1, bar some cutscenes and one boss battle early game. The Island Nations Federation also provides technology on ships and established trade routes with a nation we get to know as the City-States of Joustin. These trade routes as far as Gaia and possibly beyond that help to stabilize the economy of the City-States, who has been under threat since day one of its establishment. All the events in the Island Liberation War are tribute to the groundwork we get to witness in Suikoden 1 and 2. Furthermore, nice hints of it are brought back in Suikoden 5, with main character Freya Dua being 50% from the Island Nations through Father Ferid. The ending of the game, if played through the perfect ending, displays a lovely balance. A new nation established under unity, freed from the despair of another, the Kuluk Empire. It's not just ending a regional skirmish, but provides a positive outset to follow in this part of the world. This in stark contrast to all the damage dealt by rune cannons and the power of the Rune of Punishment, used in times of dire need. Should Konami decide to remaster the other entries of Suikoden 3, 4 and 5, we all agree that Suikoden 4 can use the most work. The random encounters at the ocean should be lowered, sailing speed could be increased, or even the relative map size reduced. Battle mechanics should be left untouched though to have a difference to the other entries. The story could be a bit more enhanced with more coherent or intensified dialogue or additional side quests into the history of the nations and specific major characters. Never forget that Suikoden IV is the essential piece of the world building lore of the entire series. Without the destruction of the Kulug Empire, Scarlet Moon could still exist. Without Ted being rescued from the fog ship, we never would have had the Soul Eater in the Gate Rune War. When playing either the original or HD remasters versions of Suikoden 1 and 2, keep in mind that Laszlo crawled, sometimes literally in pain, so that Tyr and Ryu could run. If you like this video, then make sure to leave a thumbs up, comment and subscribe for more Suikoden content. May your pixels be plentiful, your adventures prosperous, and I will see you at the next video.